Hello everybody. We have a miniature, a 17 move game on our road to 2100 chess.com. We are up against, well, now his rating's lower, but it was effectively 1900. He must have lost a couple games. Um, but it's a short 17 move game, and let's see why. So we're white this time, and we open up with e4, the most critical move. King's pawn opening, we play the bishop's opening. It's very tactical. It's very critical, and either side can lose the game quickly, as we'll see here. He develops a knight towards the center. We develop our knight towards the center. But he develops his bishop. We've had speedrun games like this in our bishop's opening speedrun. Do you remember what I used to call this variation when people played it against me? I used to go, oh, they're playing the copycat variation because they're copying me. And we used to go queen g4, creating an immediate crisis in the position because we're bringing our queen out super early, as early as move 4, threatening to win on the spot, but also putting the queen in an awful position overall where it can be attacked by tons of stuff. So he defends against the threat this way, which is playable. Now if you drop the ball and just, I don't know, casually develop, d5 comes, hits your bishop, hits your queen, you lose the game. So super critical position, you need to move your queen. We go to f3 to create a mate in one threat so that we can get the turn back after he defends. He plays the least natural move, knight h1, knight h6. And it does defend the pawn, I guess. It does prepare castling. But I feel like knight f6 also does that and doesn't hang your knight at the edge, right? So this is a bad move. And I'm immediately looking at, can I move my d pawn 1 or 2 and to try to take that knight? But on both moves, knight takes pawn, hit your queen. So it doesn't quite work. So that's why it's super important in these lines to include knight e2, controlling this square. If he ever jumps his knight in, you make sure to snatch that piece off the board and stabilize your queen. So now I'm ready to potentially move my d pawn and attack that piece. He goes d6. Oh, I forgot to put on the evaluation. No. So let's go back a couple moves. Even. White has little advantage. We play our moves. It's just an even game. He plays this move. Now it's bad. There we go. We develop our knight, maintain the advantage. He plays this move, and you can see the bar go up. There we go. That's what I wanted you to see. Plus 2.6. And all he did was develop. All we did develop. That's why this is a critical opening. Because it looks like you're kind of fine, but you're just losing on the spot. We find the best move, knight d5. Now, his last move was this pawn push. And you may think, oh, it's just a solidifying move, but it opens his bishop. What's the threat? Maybe a piece here, right? But we go knight d5. So this is a trap. If he goes here, knight f6, check, picks up the bishop. If he doesn't go here, we still have knight f6 check, losing castling rights. If he moves his queen away from this, that's a fork. If we ever, move the knight somewhere with a threat as a clearance to open the bishop for a checkmate down the road. Maybe it's part of a combination where we start with taking the knight, hitting the rook, and delivering checkmate, right? So it's just a strong move, stops his ideas, and it clearances the c square for c3, which looks strong. So it's a great move, and he should castle. He can also play f5, but it's plus 3 in both cases, so white's completely winning. When he made this move, I mean, the engine says it's tied for the best, but I wasn't sure if this was a move when he played it. Because it looks weird with your king so open, and, with my pieces so close. And it does lose on the spot to the move that I played and found. But I guess if I don't find this move, f4 is coming and cutting off communication, and then his king is quite safe maybe. But regardless, we have the move, and that move is d4. And what's the point? Hits the bishop, hits the knight. He loses a piece. That's it. He loses a piece. So he takes a pawn, and you could take the knight. He could take a pawn. You develop. He goes back. You're up a piece and winning. But you know me. I have to complicate the situation because that's too easy. So I don't take the knight. I play c3. Still winning, but unnecessarily fancy. The idea is, well, now he can't take the pawn. I figured he could desperado, which he can, and get this pawn, moving my king out. But I'll have the pawn on c3, which dominates the knight. But at the end of the day, in hindsight, don't let him bring your king out. It's unnecessary. Just go down the other line. Okay, so in any case, he doesn't even go for the desperado. He tries to complicate. He tries to counter-complicate matters and goes knight e5, hitting my loose bishop. So he has two pieces hanging. I have one. And now I'm counter-calculating. And I'm like, okay, I could take the bishop. I could take the knight. I could move my bishop somewhere. And my threats still exist. I could even give this weird check, but after c6, who knows what's happening. It's funny that bishop e5 check, the engine says is best, but like I said, who knows what's happening after c6. You have to calculate 1,000 things. I'm not doing that. So I say, let me just take the bishop in the center. Can't be bad. He takes my bishop. I take his knight. That's a free piece. So I should be winning. Let's see what he does. He kicks my knight, and I'm like, I kind of like it here. I don't want to move it. Can I counter him? So I'm looking at b3. He takes my knight, I take his. Okay. Maybe he moves it, and my knight's still hit. Okay. But then I see a forcing move, bishop g7. He can't really do anything about it because it indirectly saves the knight. Like if he doesn't take the knight, I have knight f6 coming, supported by the bishop. And he can't really allow that. So he kind of has to take the knight. I mean, he could try rook g8, but or maybe an intermezzo like this. But at the end of the day, I'm going to get what I want. So he takes the knight, I take the rook, and I'm up 4 points of material. He tries to be clever, going king f7, saying, well, you're up 4 points, but if I take this bishop, you're up 1 point. That's true, but at the same time, I took your rook. So it's almost like you're down a rook. It feels like the one thing I didn't like was this huge pawn mass that it gave him, but then I realized my bishop's kind of trapped anyway. I'm going to give him the bishop, and I'm going to destroy this clump of pawns and be winning. So I don't even bother moving the bishop or trying to desperado it. I considered b3, counterattack move. Everything's winning here. Castling, rook development, b3. But I came up to the conclusion that I wanted to play e takes f, taking all of his pawns while he takes my bishop. So I get a pawn. Now he can no longer intermezzo take and hit my queen. He gets my bishop. I get another pawn, double check. King has to move. And now this is the third pawn in the center, protecting the knight that I could pick up. So I pick that up. His knight's under attack, so he takes my free pawn. So now we're completely winning, +6. We're up 2 points of material, but our queen is centralized and his king is over here. Like, what's that? No cover. We can castle. His knight's in Timbuktu, clearly better. So now I'm looking at the position, thinking maybe I take. He goes here. And then you could take the pawn or the queen in whatever order, liquidate. But I didn't want to bring his king to e5. I knew I was winning, but just on principle, in an endgame, I don't want to bring his king here. And then I stumbled upon his knight. I'm like, this knight's pretty dumb. Is it trapped? And then I just looked and found queen b3. And it is trapped. So he just resigned in 17 moves. And that was that. You know, it's easy to be like, oh, 17 moves, that was easy. But considering all the nuances, it's not easy. Like, if you don't move your queen on this turn, you lose the game. So we move it. And now if you don't go knight e2 on this turn, black can just be better. So we do that. So if you miss even the smallest thing, you can just lose. And then here, if you don't find knight d5, maybe you don't get the win. Here, if you don't find energetic d4, maybe you don't get an easy win. So, I mean, it may look easy, but it's super easy to mess up your position as white. Don't be fooled. In any case, hopefully this shows you something of which you might get at a higher rating with the bishop's opening if they don't know what they're doing. And this guy clearly didn't know about the copycat variation, so he walked kind of into prep and just loses outright. That's why it's so critical. Good luck in your chess. I'll see you next time.